have a preposterous question for you. I want you to just consider, when your partner is down, when he's depressed, what if nothing has gone wrong? What if there is no problem? I hear you scoffing. That's okay. I would have scoffed at me too. But bear with me for a minute and consider this. When your partner is having his worst day, when he's not getting out of bed, if he's not going to work, when he's not talking to you, what if everything was okay? What if nothing had gone wrong? And I know you're resisting this and you think I'm totally full of it, and that's okay. But let's explore this together, because I just want to take a look at what happens when you believe it's a problem that your partner is depressed. In my experience, two things happen when we're believing that our partner's depression is a problem. The first is panic. For me, it's like a knot right in my chest and this horrible rising sensation, and it's really frightening. Where does the panic come from? Well, this is the person that you've chosen, right? You've chosen them as your teammate, as your partner in life. That means they are supposed to be the other half, the one who supports you, whether that's emotionally or financially or around the house. In whatever way, you're supposed to tackle life as a team. And the primitive part of your brain, the part of your brain that evolved to protect you and keep you safe and make sure that you had healthy relationships in your community so that you could stay safe, that part freaks out when it thinks that the one person that you have decided to rely on has a problem. They have a problem. They're not going to live up to their end of the deal. They're not going to be an equal partner. That part of your brain equates this with being thrown out of the cave and dying. So it's serious. That's why this panic gets so intense. Your partner's depressed, he's having a bad day, you think this is a problem, you panic, because now what's going to happen? It's really scary, and that part of your brain really equates it with a life and death situation. In response to that panic, something else happens. You decide that this problem needs to be fixed, and fixed with some urgency. Now, your brain is so good at fixing problems. It is designed or evolved or built, however you want to think about it. Your brain is a problem-solving machine. When you pose it with a problem, it gets right to work. It wants to solve it. So you have marked your partner's depression as a problem. Your brain goes into fix-it mode. Somebody's got to fix it. I've got to fix it. He's got to fix it. Someone's got to fix this problem. And what do? How do you show up when you believe it's a problem that needs to be fixed? How many books have you read? How many therapists have you researched? How many meditation practices or exercise routines? What happens when you talk to your partner? Do you offer him all of these suggestions? If you're like me, every time he's depressed and you talk to him, you can't but help but talk about therapy, talk about a book, talk about a morning routine, talk about a meditation practice, introduce him to a guru, tell him about a podcast you know about. There are so many solutions, right? Your brain is so good at finding them, and you want to offer them all up to your partner to solve this life and death problem. But what happens? What happens when he doesn't go to therapy? What happens when he won't read the book or listen to the podcast? What happens when he stops going to the gym, when he won't meditate? How do you feel? How do you respond? I would imagine that what was anxiety and worry now turns to frustration. You get irritated. You start to think, why doesn't he want to do this? If he really wanted to feel better, he would try these things. Does he want to stay depressed? You start to feel frustrated. You become resentful. And if you're anything like me, that very quickly turns to anger, which you hold in and you don't let go until all of a sudden it boils over and you snap at your partner. You lash out, you yell, you scream. And then what? Then what happens? Well, then you feel like an asshole, right? Here's this poor guy, he's depressed. He's already having a hard time getting out of bed or getting motivated or finding anything worth living for. And now he's got this woman screaming at him. So you feel like a dick. And in response to that, you feel shame, right? You're ashamed of lashing out at your partner. You feel guilty for the way you behaved. So you wallow in that for a little while, and then eventually you end up back at worry. Because what's going to happen? He's not fixed. There's this problem. It's not getting fixed. And you start this cycle over again. You go from worried and anxious about his depression to frustrated that he won't accept your help or try all of these solutions you've come up with, to resentful that he's intentionally staying depressed, to this boiling anger that bubbles over and you yell and scream, or however that comes out for you. Maybe you're passive aggressive. And then you get to shame and guilt and back to worry and anxiety. And you get stuck in this like emotional, I don't know, it's a roller coaster, it's a tornado. It's very, feels very out of control when you're in it. Like you're just moving from one state to another and you can't really help it. And it all seems so important, and he just needs to change and get help and feel better so that you can get out of this emotional tornado. So I want to ask you something. When I said earlier, what if your partner's depression wasn't a problem? And you felt resistance to that, maybe very strong resistance. Maybe you wanted to just turn this video off. What were you thinking? Because a lot of people think when they hear that, well, if I didn't think it was a problem, then I wouldn't help him. I wouldn't be able to support him and help him get help. I wouldn't be a compassionate, loving, supportive partner. But think about what happens when you treat his depression as a problem in your own mind. You panic, you try to fix it. In trying to fix it, you end up in this emotional roller coaster spiraling from worry to anxiety to frustration, resentment, anger, shame, guilt. Where in all of that emotional mess is there any room for compassion? Where is the love? Where is the patience, the understanding, the curiosity about his experience? Where is the patience for yourself? Where is the love for yourself? In that whole mess, all those emotions, I don't see any room for compassion and love. I don't think you have energy for it when you're in there. You are exhausted. You are just riding wave after wave after wave of intense emotion. There's no room for love. There's no room for patience. There's no room for compassion. Not for him and not for yourself. The other thing to notice about this emotional cycle, about this worry, frustration, anger, shame, guilt, the cycle that you get stuck in over and over, where is your partner in that cycle? You want to be a loving, supportive partner. But when you are embroiled in this emotional drama, it is all yours. These are your thoughts. These are your feelings. His experience is entirely different. He is having his own emotional experience over here that you honestly know nothing about, because you can't learn anything about it. You can't be curious about what he is feeling because you are so busy with this like emotional chaos that's happening over here. It's taking all of your attention and all of your energy. So don't fool yourself into thinking that this is really about helping him. I know that's what we want it to be. That's what we think when we're trying to fix him. But what it leads to is this emotional tornado that we can't get out of, and that prevents us entirely from having a compassionate, loving, curious relationship with our depressed partner. So my question to you is, what if? What if nothing has gone wrong when he has a bad day or a bad week or a bad month? What if it's not a problem that he's depressed? I'm going to tell you what happened for me when I started contemplating this idea. I found, well, at first it was like a big weight had lifted from my shoulders. It was like I could breathe for a moment. What if everything is okay? What if he is just a human having a human experience? It was like this pressure just lifting off of my chest. I have room to breathe. What I found was, with him, I gained the ability to sit quietly without judging, without being on this thought train of, he needs to do this, I need to fix it this way, why isn't he doing that, why isn't he talking to a therapist, why isn't he getting help, why is he just choosing to stay this way? I used to be thinking all of these horrible things and having this emotional turmoil inside me when I was trying to be with him. What I found when I let that go was that I could sit quietly. When he did choose to talk to me, I could be openly curious. I could listen with compassion. I could actually hear what he was saying to me because I wasn't trying to fill in all of these solutions. I wasn't trying to solve this problem for him. I wasn't treating it like a problem. I was listening. Because before, when I'd try to sit with him and I had this emotional turmoil in my head, I didn't have room for curiosity. I didn't have room for patience or for love. For me, I found that I could sit with him, I could listen, I could hear, and he actually opened up and spoke to me in ways that he hadn't before. But that wasn't the coolest change. The coolest change was for me. This weight was gone. I was free now to love. I was free to connect. I was free to feel joy and to laugh and to pursue my own dreams. I was able to create space not only for him, but for myself. And that is everything. In future videos, we're going to get really specific. We're going to explore very specific ways of thinking, very specific things you might be feeling as you live with and love a depressed partner. But for today, I want to give you a simple challenge. For the next week, for 7 days in a row, I want you to wake up and ask yourself the question, what if? What if nothing has gone wrong when he's depressed? When he has a bad day, if he's in the middle of a bad episode, ask yourself, what if there's no problem? What if nothing has gone wrong? And please, I am not asking you to pretend there is no problem or to pretend that nothing has gone wrong. That's not going to work. You're not going to believe it. You believe there is a problem, and that's okay. I'm not asking you to say, oh no, there's no problem. It's fine. All's good here. It's not going to work. Your brain is savvier than that. It's not going to believe you. It knows there's a problem. I'm just asking you, what if? Consider what if there were no problem? What if nothing had gone wrong? If that were true, how would you feel? What would you be thinking? How would you show up for him? More importantly, how would you show up for you? What if? That's my challenge to you this week. Just ask yourself the question, how would you feel? How would you think? How would you show up if it were true that nothing has gone wrong? Let me know how it goes. I would love to hear about your experience in the comments below. Please let me know. This channel is for you. I want to make these tools and exercises and challenges things that work for you and get results for you. Let's make you feel better, and let's start right now. So please join me next week, and I am looking forward to seeing you then.